101. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Preseason action continues across the NFL as last night it was the Colts and Ravens going head-to-head. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson was injured in his lone series as he dislocated his pinky when sacked. Richardson exited the game and did not return, but is expected to practice next week. Ravens win that preseason game 24-16. Titans preseason opener this weekend as they take on the Bucs in Tampa Saturday, 6:30. You can hear it right here on The Zone starting at 3 o'clock with the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Titans radio coverage begins at 5:30. In the MLB, the Atlanta Braves back in action tonight at home against the Miami Marlins. First pitch in that game scheduled for 6 p.m. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. Just a little over 24 hours to go till the Titans play a preseason game. We'll talk all about that. We'll also ask Jordan Dajani why he hates the Tennessee Titans fan base and decided to take a trip down all the terrible memories that have happened over the last 4 years to get us to Cam Ward. We'll talk to him at 1:20 today, and we'll also go around the NFL with him as well. Last night we had some preseason action, Blaine, and Anthony Richardson, something that may or may not affect his ability to play for the Indianapolis Colts. I tell you one thing. Everybody agrees that it was definitely his fault, and it obviously was. In a five-man protection, you should recognize the free rusher fairly quickly. But he got decimated and dislocated his pinky. Watching that, I was just like, man, I mean, that rusher didn't get chipped by either the running back or the tight end that went out there, and he didn't even see him coming. And that makes you wonder, I know that Daniel Jones got paid $13 to $15 million or whatever it was. It was a lot of money. And we all kind of think that it was his job to lose. But that's not something you want to put on tape in the preseason, even if you still have 2 games to go.
Hey, man, the bad part is he didn't even feel the pressure.
No.
So that's
and he's an athletic specimen.
No, athleticism and feel. Levis is a better athlete than Cam Ward, who has the better pocket presence.
Well, what I mean is, like, if he would have sensed it, he would have been able to get away from it more than likely.
This is where I'm talking about athletic common sense. Like, you've been playing this game for a little bit now. You don't have that kind of, like, you didn't feel like, oh, somebody's about to hit me, even if you didn't see them?
Yeah.
I know, Jackson, when I'm coming down that alley, man, I think you even if you don't see me, you like, oh, I ain't worried about little Blaine. He ain't going to do nothing. But you know he coming, though.
I know Blaine's coming.
Man, that one there, man. And that may be the reason some athletic specimen for a quarterback, and then the little nuances of the game you don't have. And watch this. I'm going to even take it further. That ain't even just about him. I know they called the wrong protection. Mm-hmm. I know the running back's supposed to go out. But you knew the protection too, running back.
Yeah.
You knew who was available to block. Why did you just run by the guy who was free rusher? You could have chipped him. You could have done something. You could have actually said, I'm not going to get out on a route. I'm going to block him.
So
that's common football sense.
But there's also Tyler Warren didn't do it either, and he went right by him. So and he's the tight end.
Well, if he went out on a route, but this back is in the backfield.
Right.
It's a different mechanism here. There's some common sense smarts sometimes that really irritates me. Like, I'd be in the film room, and, like, if that happened, they turn protection wrong. Like, hey, man, you got to, even if you want to get out, you're not the main guy anyway. You're last at worst case scenario. Hey, chip this dude, and I mean get into him before you just run out.
Because
even
if he is
I just don't agree
everybody
with
said that he, the running back's the safety guy, right? Like, that's where you need to go. But the running back didn't even give him any time to do it. And Anthony Richardson wasn't even looking over there. And, it was just a mess of a play. And no common sense displayed anywhere.
They rush 4. Yeah. They have 5 guys to protect.
Right. See? And David Ojabo is not some, it was a he's not Myles Garrett.
Yeah. Well, it was a turn protection. He was a free rusher. Nobody even touched him. I mean, they turned protection. It looks like they thought it was going to be a quick pass or the running back was going to get him.
Yeah.
And
everybody, I hate when I don't hate it, but I get it. But everybody's piling on Anthony Richardson for making this bad mistake, and it's a terrible mistake. And everybody agrees it is, and that's very hard to do.
Well, he admitted it himself.
Yeah, but it's a day one thing. That is a day one thing that he should be recognizing, and really, that's something that you should probably have learned the first time you start playing football, where you're calling plays and doing protections and all that stuff as a quarterback, because that's a basic 5-man protection where you're supposed to have the out and go to the running back or go over to that side where the free rusher's coming, and he didn't even look that way. And the running back didn't even think to maybe just knock him just a little bit.
Yeah, so, just off course a little bit, man. Make it let's just so that's the part that probably why he hasn't had success with the athletic ability that he has.
Yeah.
He has the arm, he has the wheels, and obviously he's trying to get up to speed on the knowledge, and NFL is very complex, especially when it comes to quarterback. That's why I said quarterback sometimes not having all the big arm and the running ability is not the most important piece, actually. It's what you got in between your ears, and you can't do that, man. I don't know if you'll have that kind of success as far as being up to your ability that you have. So, hey, that one kind of burned me. I hate that because I've been around guys like that, and not necessarily quarterback, but guys, you go, dang, man, if I had his ability, my name would have HOF behind it.
Yeah.
But he don't have a clue. And then if you try to explain to him, he act like he got it, and then he not got it.
There's a difference between getting in the classroom and getting it out on the field in live action. And for a guy that
just ain't gonna never get it, man. Yeah. It's not gonna happen.
And for a guy that has had injury issues too, that doesn't really help your case. I mean, he's been prone to injuries anyway. Not only, at least this was just at least a dislocated pinky.
Was it this is throwing hand?
Yeah, I believe it was his right hand, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
But a dislocated pinky. He thinks he'll be back. They'll be back sooner rather than later. But what if that wouldn't have been a dislocated pinky? It could have been something worse because that impact was.
Oh, he could have had a dislocated shoulder. He could have.
Yeah, and for a guy with that injury history, that's not what you want to see in the start of a young career. And listen, we know what Anthony Richardson was coming out of Florida. He was a even bigger project in my mind than even Will Levis, but he had all this upside. You could see if they would just sit him. This is where not every situation for every quarterback can be the same. We're talking about, hey, you might as well just play Cam Ward. Cam Ward's that guy that could probably handle it. Anthony Richardson needed to sit. It really feels like the Colts kind of got high on their own supply in these preseason reps in his rookie year, when he probably should have sat behind Gardner Minshew for longer, or and Joe Flacco for a little bit. I can't remember who it was his rookie year. But this is a guy that would have benefited from sitting, in my opinion, to catch up and then start building the reps and everything. Because I know he doesn't have a lot of reps, but you can't throw a guy out there, in my opinion, without experience at the NFL level, because he barely had experience at the college level.
Yeah, I think that's why you slow play, because he didn't have a lot of starts.
Yeah.
But I know it's easy to get wild by when you see some talent, man. I can't.
Hands up, I was wild by Anthony Richardson.
Oh, no, he has talent. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. So I don't know if I would have thrown him out there watching practice, but here's what I'm hearing from the Colts people. Riley Leonard is competing to start now with him down. Do you know who that is?
I know. That's the Notre Dame quarterback from last year.
What round did he go? 6th, 7th?
7th or 6th round.
I said, how can you even form your mouth to say this? If somebody's in trouble, if that's the case, Daniel Jones actually looked okay. What I saw, I would just lean into Daniel Jones right now. and I just go with him. And I'll be like, hey, man, sit here.
Sixth round.
I'd go with Daniel Jones. And he made this one cross-body throw. I would not highly recommend it. He threw it on a dime, rolling left and throwing right. I was like, woo, that was a risky throw. He put it right on the money. So, I just lean into that. They're paying him $14 million or whatever the number. It's a big number for a backup quarterback. I just play him. I know they can do that when they got, a young, high drafted guy, but.
Yeah, 1 year, $14 million contract.
Yeah, I just play him at this point. Now that he's got injured, you got to get off to a good start. With the cornerback they drafted from, I forgot where he's from, but Wally, he was competing to start. I think he was a 3rd round pick. So yeah, they got to get their stuff together. They got some decent pieces though.
They do. They have all these. It's not elite pieces. It's outside of maybe some people probably may consider like Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, a couple of those guys elite, but they have all these really good pieces.
Yeah,
and Pittman,
Downs.
Yeah, Downs.
The Mitchell kid that went to
he may take a second-year leap, and you still have Alec Pierce out there as well.
Yeah. Oh, Pierce,
you just got Tyler Warren. Right, as your tight end.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, they have all this talent all across it, but they never seem to live up to those expectations. I don't know who's going to cover Tyler Warren. Maybe James Williams. I don't know. Maybe just put size on size
because of the size and athleticism. But that's where you got Winston Jr. to come into play. At least in
that's
passing
true.
situations.
Yeah,
hopefully.
But it just seems like. And listen. I'm not the biggest Chris Ballard fan, not the biggest Colts fan either, so I'm not going to lose sleep over them not being able to live up to their expectations. But, this is a team that's constantly underwhelmed under Chris Ballard, it feels like, and everybody always fluffs them up as going to be the next big AFC South champion, all this stuff.
They do every year.
And I don't know. I think Daniel Jones is their best quarterback. The fact that they think that there's people out there actually saying the words Riley Leonard competing for a spot.
I was stunned.
That is wild to me because there's no way Riley Leonard can do anything that Daniel Jones can do unless you're going to purposely tank. I don't know.
But it goes back to what's in between the ears. If you got enough ability, I can't say. I just was stunned to hear it because I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. I am floored. I haven't been on Twitter a lot today, so
and he is a decent athlete. We got to watch him live and in action there, the day. So he definitely is a tough kid, and he's got just enough arm. But if he has it in between the ears, man, I would not doubt it at all.
Well, and he's got the leadership qualities, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that from his time at Notre Dame. He's a competitor at heart. Yeah. And so sometimes maybe that just wins out. But I think I'd be I've heard the same thing about Daniel Jones, though, that for all of his faults up in New York, that guy was a class act and a leader and well-respected in that locker room. And listen, now, if you want to say Riley Leonard may supplant Anthony Richardson as the main backup, I'd probably be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked, I guess I would say. But competing for the starting spot, that just seems like...
If that happens, man, somebody can be in trouble. Ballard's already thrown the late great Irsay under the bus, man. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
His dude's on his deathbed, man. You can't be... I was like, whoa, boy, this guy, we don't know what's true now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Shane Steichen, are you going to hitch your wagon? And especially if you're Chris Ballard, too, you going to hitch your wagon with the new sisters taking over, the daughters taking over, and hitch your wagon to Riley Leonard? That would just be wild to me.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't believe it. Like, okay, you mean really backup, right?
Yeah.
Right. He may compete to start. Oh.
Yeah. Oof. That's not a good sign for things going in.
That means somebody already should be getting fired if that's even the case. If that's real, man.
Yeah. All right, when we come back,
we saying Brandon Allen is competing to start.
Well, I've saw something just crazy recently about Brandon Allen from our friend Justin Mello. We'll have to talk about that later in the show. But when we come back, we'll go around the NFL with Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. Excuse me. We'll go around the NFL as we do every Friday with Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. And Jordan, I'm going to have to start off right off the top. Titanic collapse, how the Titans went from number 1 seed in the loaded AFC to the number 1 pick. There's an article you posted 3 hours ago. Why do you hate the Tennessee Titans fan base that you would bring up all these bad memories for them?
Why you would think that. Thanks for having me back on the show. I will say this, though. I actually wrote this article not for the Titans fan base, right? The Titans fans, they went through this whole depressing saga. They remember all the stories. I kind of wrote this more for the rest of the NFL because the Titans are a national afterthought, right? But I view their fall from grace as objectively fascinating, right? What led to this journey from the number 1 seed in the loaded AFC to the number 1 overall pick? So I think it's going to be an interesting story for fans of the Dallas Cowboys or the Washington Commanders or the Las Vegas Raiders to really read. And, one thing I will say is that I think it's fun to wrestle with what was the biggest factor in the Titans becoming one of the best teams in the NFL to one of the worst teams in the NFL? Was it just trading A.J. Brown away, which had a direct effect on your offense and got a general manager fired who had previously never had a losing record with that franchise? Does the fault lie with the general manager, John Robinson, who, of course, traded A.J. Brown away and put together a couple of horrific draft classes with horrific first-round picks? So I think it's a really fascinating story, and if you're a Titans fan, you don't have to read it. I'm sorry for ruining your weekend on a Friday afternoon, but I at least hope it was written well and you enjoyed it to some capacity.
It was a good article overall. I do encourage people to go and read it. And most people have read the article in our chat. In fact, we have someone that just said, I read that article and it was very accurate. So my question to you is, what do you think was the defining moment or the inflection point for this fall from grace?
Yeah, I actually, before I wrote this article and you asked me that question, I don't know if I'd have a good answer. But after going through all my notes, going through all the articles that we've written over the years at CBS Sports, I do feel like it was the A.J. Brown trade. And instead of paying one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, you ship him to the Philadelphia Eagles, with whom he wins a Super Bowl, by the way. That had a direct effect on your offense and your team at large not being good. That ended up getting the general manager fired. Then we go down a couple years later. Mike Vrabel is fired. And, I understand that Mike Vrabel and John Robinson were not universally beloved by Titans fans at the end, but that fan base had optimism when it came to what's on the other side. Maybe someone like Rand Carthon or Brian Callahan can turn this franchise around. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened just yet. So I look back at really the A.J. Brown trade kind of being the genesis for this fall from grace.
Speaking of A.J. Brown, he recently said that he was grateful the Titans traded him to the Eagles, but feels a little sad for Treylon Burks. Talk about what those comments by A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I think A.J. Brown really understands that Treylon Burks stepped into a situation he didn't ask for. We understand that Treylon was a talented first-round prospect, and he was actually compared to A.J. Brown as a prospect by a lot of different outlets. But he was expected to basically be an immediate 1,000-yard receiver, number 1 target for a franchise being a first-year player. And that's not always fair. And, of course, Treylon Burks dealt with all these different kinds of injuries, which led to him being waived injured by Tennessee, and now he reverted back to injured reserve. So A.J. Brown understands that he walked into a situation that it wasn't exactly favorable. And as we've already talked about, the Titans were a franchise that was kind of on the way down as well. But I will say that I'm sure that A.J. Brown is very happy that he left the Titans and is with the Philadelphia Eagles. He got to play with one of his great friends in Jalen Hurts, be a part of one of the best offenses in the NFL, have a direct impact on a rise to being a Super Bowl champion, and now he is a world champion. So, yeah, I understand why A.J. Brown would say that he's very grateful that he was dealt from Nashville to Philadelphia.
We're going around the NFL with Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, man, I know there's a lot of games tonight, but you've heard so many different reports there from the Cleveland Browns on Shedeur Sanders, where he's running 4th string to he's running 1st string to he's injured, he's not injured. How do you see this all playing out, whether he does good, okay, or bad tonight in the game?
Blaine, I have never been so excited for a preseason game. Like, I cannot wait until 6 o'clock this evening. And it's funny because I've told you before, like, I'm not a Shedeur Sanders lover. I'm not a Shedeur Sanders hater.
Right.
But I respect his value in terms of being one of the most polarizing prospects of all time. And the football gods have orchestrated this situation, this scenario, where Kenny Pickett is dealing with a hamstring injury. Dylan Gabriel is dealing with a hamstring injury. So Shedeur Sanders is basically going to be QB1 for the Cleveland Browns in his first NFL action. Now, to answer your question, I think that what happens this evening is going to have a direct effect and the most massive impact to when it comes to how we discuss Shedeur Sanders moving forward. Because imagine if he stinks tonight and he basically is booed off the field. Then we're talking about Shedeur Sanders and his roster spot being completely in jeopardy and him being viewed as someone who could not make the initial 53-man roster. But what if Shedeur Sanders goes out there and balls against the Carolina Panthers? All of a sudden, we're going to start talking about Shedeur Sanders should be the starter week 1, not Joe Flacco, not Kenny Pickett, not Dylan Gabriel. So that's why I'm so excited for this evening, because Shedeur Sanders really has a great opportunity.
What do you think is going to happen?
It is preseason, so I feel like we're not going to get one extreme or the other. I don't think he's going to absolutely stink. I don't think he's going to absolutely tear it up. I think he's going to put some good plays on tape, but he's not going to necessarily blow anyone away. If I had to make a guess, I think that's what's going to happen, but I'm leaving all doors open. I absolutely can't wait.
Well, make a guess. Will Micah Parsons miss a game or two with the Dallas Cowboys? Will he go that far to get a contract, or will he even get that far?
Yeah. So I spent about 20 minutes on the phone with our reporter out there, Garrett Podell, last night. And it seems like the general consensus is, Parsons ending up with a deal from Dallas still seems maybe more likely than him being traded. And if you want to engage in conspiracy for a second, which I'm always down to do, our reporter, Garrett, pointed out the fact that Jerry Jones has this documentary dropping, I think, on August 19th on Netflix, America's Team, The Gambler and his Cowboys Chronicles. What better PR than dropping a historical contract on that day? But I think that I'm absolutely leaving the door open for Micah Parsons elongating this holdout. And I think that we've gotten to that point where we can start speculating on how long this is going to last. But if there's one thing I can point out to you about maybe the most important thing to note about this situation, it's that Micah Parsons is still there. Even though he made his trade request official and said he doesn't want to be a part of the organization, why is Brian Schottenheimer telling reporters that Micah Parsons is engaged behind the scenes? If he was absolutely 100% set on his trade request, I would leave training camp. I would leave Oxnard. Micah Parsons has not done that. So you have to imagine that a deal coming to fruition is something that is possible.
Well, lastly, got to say something about Aaron Rodgers. Someone said something to me, and it made me think about if Aaron Rodgers plays horrible or bad or their team isn't good, the Steelers, that is, will his career be demeaned, I guess, in a way that he's not a great player? Still gets in the Hall of Fame, but is his lasting memory the memory we should remember of his play?
I think that's a really good question, and it would matter on how bad he looks. Like, if he's so disastrous they have to make a quarterback change in the middle of the season, I can see why someone would make that argument. But I still look at Aaron Rodgers as one of the best pure passers in terms of arm talent we've ever seen. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers and his legacy, something I remember is when the Packers drafted Jordan Love in the first round, and he was so ticked off by that, he went and won MVP. That's going to be the legacy for Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people, I should say this, I don't think it's fair to look at a 41-year-old quarterback who is not Tom Brady and say that guy should make us a Super Bowl contender. That is not what my expectations are for the Steelers. So if he does go out there and flops and ends up having to retire after a few really bad seasons, just in my opinion, I don't think it completely tarnishes Aaron Rodgers' legacy.
No doubt about it. We were up here talking about a DB who hasn't signed, has the pedigree. Asante Samuel Jr. He had a neck issue, or he had surgery, a shoulder or something. And so I'm interested, what is the view of him as a player not being signed now by the league? Because he said it's something that he's had since he started playing football. So I was like, I wouldn't have said that. But, he's not signed. He's out there. What is the view of Asante Samuels Jr.?
I think he's more of a polarizing player, to be completely honest with you, which is something I kind of discovered earlier this offseason. I knew he was hitting free agency, and he was someone I was absolutely interested in, and a younger player that I viewed as kind of having having upside. But he is around 5'10", 180, maybe even lighter than that as well. So I know that there's people around the league that don't view him as a legitimate starter. And then, of course, he had the surgery, which I understand is a situation he's dealt with for his life. But at the same time, when you're recovering from going under the knife, that's going to affect your prospects and what your future contract is going to look like. So he's out there still looking for a deal. And I think that Tennessee should absolutely do their homework on him because we don't know what's going to happen with L'Jarius Sneed. And I think that the depth at the position is extremely questionable as well. So Asante Samuel Jr. was definitely one of these free agents entering this offseason that I had an eye on without knowing about the medical history. And here we are, August 8th, and he's still looking for an NFL home.
Lastly, one quick. This is not more football, but it has to do with football. And that is the NFL now owning some percentage of ESPN. What do you think is going on here? Why did they make this play? Are they trying to control the media?
I think it's a really fascinating topic that we could spend a lot of time on because there's a lot of different ramifications and avenues that we could explore. A couple of them are with ESPN owning an NFL property, for example, they're going to get access to more games. It was easier to negotiate the TV rights for the NFL draft as well. With that being said, I did have an ESPN source tell me that the NFL, the rights to the NFL network and NFL media, they've been for sale for quite some time. And no one really bought them up, which I thought was pretty interesting. But here's the other part of it that editorially speaking, of course, I'm a writer with CBS Sports. The first thing I think about is, how is this going to affect journalism when it comes to ESPN and the NFL? Let's say Roger Goodell or the NFL does something negative. ESPN is not going to be the one to break that news and talk about it. I think that's going to come down to CBS Sports, The Athletic, NBC Sports. The ESPN now with this whole deal is not going to be jumping the gun to report something negatively on the NFL. So I think it's pretty interesting to explore the ramifications it has on the journalism world at large as well.
I was interested to see if the play was more because I saw Roger give us a little nugget there, the sheriff, say that we're competing with Amazon and Google, not all these other old lame organizations. Was he real with that?
I think he is because I can't really wax poetic about his rivalry with Google and different tech companies. But what I can tell you is that the NFL is king. They don't care about the NBA. They don't care about the MLB. They'll walk in your trap and take your trap, right? They'll rule Christmas Day if they want to. The NBA can't hold a candle to what the NFL presents. So I understand why the NFL and the head of the NFL would look at different tech companies as opposed to different sports as being the true rivals. So I don't really know what that means, to be 100% honest with you, but I understand why he said it.
There you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Over in Buffalo, the Bills are kind of in a contract stalemate with James Cook. I know that Brandon Beane, the general manager for the Buffalo Bills, says he wished they weren't in this spot. Talk about the latest update with what's going on with James Cook, especially because Kyron Williams just got a contract extension with the LA Rams.
Yeah. And the Kyron Williams deal, by the way, that was a win for the Rams, more so than a win for Kyron Williams. And I know that James Cook is probably looking for more money than Kyron Williams received. And I think it's an interesting debate because, is James Cook or Kyron Williams the better player? I think people look at James Cook as having more upside, but at the same time, Kyron Williams has been the more consistent player. With that being said, I do look at James Cook as one of the most important players for the Bills offense. And I understand there's some debate about his usage in the backfield compared to some of the other running backs. But at the same time, it's not like the Bills really relied heavily on their wide receivers, or even tight end Dalton Kincaid last year en route to Josh Allen, the star quarterback, winning NFL MVP. So James Cook believes that he is one of the most important players on this offense, and he wants to get paid like one. We talked about earlier this offseason him throwing around $15 million per year. That's a mark that only 3 NFL running backs right now make, I believe. He's not going to get that kind of money. So he's holding in at practice. He showed up initially at training camp, working in good faith, thinking that his representation could get a deal done. That, of course, has not come to fruition, so he's taken a step back from his participation, and it's going to be really interesting to see where that monetary figure lands in terms of the highest-paid running backs in the NFL.
Well, sticking with the Rams, but also going back to the Cowboys, we saw on Instagram, and not a lot, negotiations are done through Instagram, but Aaron Donald said that if the Rams were to trade for Micah Parsons, he would possibly come out of retirement for that. And could you imagine Aaron Donald, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, and Micah Parsons on this Rams team with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Matt Stafford and Kyron Williams? That would almost have to seal a Super Bowl, right?
Until they tell Aaron Donald that he's playing for minimum wage.
Maybe.
Yeah. Zach, if I'm being honest with you, I don't think that this is some little silly story I wrote for clicks. I think that this is something that should absolutely encourage General Manager Les Snead to pick up the phone and try to acquire Micah Parsons. And there's 2 reasons for that. Number one is, even if you're giving up multiple first-round picks and a big trade package for Micah Parsons, you're not only netting one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, by consequence, you're also getting Aaron Donald back in the fold for at least 1 more year. That's a pretty good trade, in my opinion. Number 2, I've talked about numerous times how the Rams seem to be all in for a Super Bowl specifically this year. It could be Matthew Stafford's final season. They went out there and got Devontae Adams. They have one of the most talented, youngest defenses in the NFL. Adding Micah Parsons absolutely makes sense for the Los Angeles Rams if the Cowboys are open to having those talks. And if you get Aaron Donald returning to the football field, that's just the cherry on top of the sundae.
I mean, I would be all over. And listen, Les Snead is known for saying F them picks.
F them picks.
Yeah, he does not care about draft picks. So if anybody can pull it off outside of Howie Roseman, which I don't know if they could actually swing it over in Philly with the way they typically build their roster, and obviously being rivals with the Dallas Cowboys, you would definitely wouldn't do that. But if any team in the NFL besides the Eagles, it would definitely be Les Snead and the Rams, which would be totally exciting and terrible for the NFC. Just real quick, Aiden Hutchinson has been dominating some Lions training camp, and I haven't heard of this. This is the first time I've heard it over on your article over on CBS Sports, that the Lions have to implement a Hutch rule in practice. What is this Hutch rule?
So I want people to remember, before Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, I thought that he probably should have been the MVP of the entire league. Like, he literally looked like the best defensive player in the NFL and arguably the best player as well when he suffered that season-ending injury while sacking Dak Prescott. A lot of people have speculated, what's he going to look like when he makes his return to the field? Well, apparently it's been so good that the Lions have had to make up a rule where they ignore if Aiden Hutchinson gets a hypothetical sack. So Aiden Hutchinson has spent the majority of training camp beating offensive linemen into the backfield, getting his hands on the quarterback for the coaches to blow that whistle. It's happening so much that the Lions as a whole are ignoring Aiden Hutchinson when he gets into the backfield, because if they didn't and blew the play dead like they do in normal practices, the offense wouldn't be getting any reps done. That's how good Aiden Hutchinson has been in training camp, and I think it's a really positive development because, again, this is a guy who one day is going to be the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL, but after suffering that season-ending leg injury, you had to wonder how it was going to affect him. I think it's pretty incredible that we're less than a year from that injury, and he's been fantastic. So keep an eye on Aiden Hutchinson this year.
I have to end on this just because it is preseason. We know there's some, overreaction to preseason, but I love a good troll. And last night, the Seattle Seahawks trolled Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders because he went for negative yards. And they said, some are saying that that George Halani is the best running back out of Boise State. How would you grade that troll?
I thought it was A+. I laughed when I read it because everyone's talking about Ashton Genty, right? He's the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Well, he steps in between the lines in the NFL for the first time. Granted, it's preseason, I understand, but he rushes for negative yards. Blaine Bishop rushed for more yards than Ashton Genty did last night. And, of course, George Halani, another guy who a lot of people probably don't remember, he was teammates with Ashton Genty at Boise State. I think he was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year back in 2019. He was the star of the game last night. He had 61 rushing yards and a touchdown, got shoved by Marshawn Lynch on the sideline, who was acting the part of photographer, which I'm sure a lot of people saw. So I thought that was a great tweet from the Seattle Seahawks.
All right. Enjoy your preseason football weekend. It's preseason week 1. A lot of great matchups. Enjoy your weekend, Jordan.
I can't wait. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate y'all.
That was Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. We went around the NFL with him. Speaking of the Seattle Seahawks versus Raiders, I saw an interesting tweet from someone that covers the Raiders from Bleacher Report, and it may affect the Tennessee Titans quarterback 2 battle. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And earlier this week, it was talked about Jeremy Fowler did his training camp report from his visit to Titans practice from Saturday, Sunday. And he said in this report, while the Titans have been pleased with Brandon Allen's presence as the primary backup quarterback, they will monitor free agency or potential trades for veterans over the next month. Allen looked capable of handling quarterback duties from what I saw. He has been productive in camp. I feel like the last little two are a little bit stretch, but, not going to hear and, nitpick over what someone else thinks. But last night, the Raiders played football. And there is this growing sentiment that the guy that they drafted and the guy that they signed obviously Geno Smith, and they drafted Cam Miller, Cam Miller, for those who may not know, was a quarterback out of North Dakota State that they drafted in the 6th round in this year's draft. There's a lot of talk that Aiden O'Connell could be the odd man out.
Boilermaker, right?
The Boilermaker. A guy that has played in 17 games as an NFL starter. He's gone 7-10 as a starter, but he has a 62.6 completion percentage, 3,830 yards in those 17 games, 20 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Not a terrible quarterback. And so I saw a tweet that Justin Mello had retweeted from a guy named Mo Moton, who who covers the Raiders for Bleacher Report. So he covers the NFL, specifically the Raiders for Bleacher Report. Okay. And he said this: Aiden O'Connell to the Titans makes sense. Dave Ziegler drafted him to the Raiders. He's the Titans' assistant general manager. Will Levis is out for the year. Tennessee signed Brandon Allen. Who knows Titans head coach Brian Callahan from their time in Cincinnati? O'Connell's better than Titans quarterback 3, Tim Boyle. Aiden O'Connell, in my mind, is better than Brandon Allen, quarterback 2 of the Tennessee Titans. And he's a guy that has 17 games of NFL experience, been in the league for 2 years, has a connection in Tennessee. Now, I'm not saying they should go out and trade all this kind of crazy picks or whatever. But if you're talking about a 7th-round pick or a 7th-round pick swap, I would be very interested if I'm the Tennessee Titans connecting the dots to that Jeremy Fowler report to be keeping an eye on what do the Raiders do with Aiden O'Connell, and is he really going to not be their guy, because he's not this GM's guy. He's not this head coach's guy. He was the prior regime's guy.
Yeah. I hate when I hear about he's not the GM's guy, because, that kind of reminds me of college, where pro is all about, once you get there, you have to prove your worth. And if you're valuable enough, especially he's not the starting quarterback. So he's shown that he's capable. I don't know why they would think they're going to get some value out of him. I mean, if I'm the Titans, I would definitely sniff around. But I don't think I would trade anything. Maybe what you said, swap.
Yeah.
A later pick. And that way I still have my pick. Because if you're going to do that, then he might as well just get out there on the market and see what you can get. I mean, I think most teams probably view him the same way. He's a backup, borderline maybe 3. He's not a big arm guy. He's not a strong arm guy. He was actually a walk-on there at Purdue that Brom groomed and then grew into what he became, a really good quarterback in college. And then, okay when he played, from what I can recall when he did start. So I think you said he was 62% passer percentage.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. I just think he's probably a 2 in this league, and if he's better than Allen or not, I'm not sure about that. I would say I would give Allen the edge just because he knows the system. But then there's another side of me to say, hey, O'Connell's younger, and maybe has a little more upside. And so,
well, just hit me about something about Aiden O'Connell that I forgot.
What, he beat Tennessee, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
In the bowl game?
I'm not.
Was that him who beat y'all in the bowl game?
That's not what I was going to say.
Mississippi Bowl or something?
Aiden O'Connell?
Was that him?
I don't like to talk about it.
See, I knew
Yeah,
it was.
that's not where I was going.
Oh,
But
okay.
hey,
They
I
were
welcome
robbed.
that avenue. But what I was going to say is that don't forget, his offensive coordinator at one time was the quarterback's coach of the Tennessee Titans, Bo Hardigree.
Oh,
So there's
a
another
connect.
connection. That connection wasn't mentioned in that, but there's a connection to Dave Ziegler and a connection to Bo Hardigree of the Tennessee Titans' current quarterback coach. So now,
So who takes you there?
no one. I just said while you were talking about the offensive
just
scheme, when you talked about the
Bo
offensive scheme, it
Hardigree.
hit
He
me.
was the quarterback's coach?
Yeah. He was the quarterback's coach when Josh McDaniels got fired and they let interim Antonio Pierce come through. They put Bo Hardigree in the offensive coordinator spot, and that's when Aiden O'Connell in his rookie year went 5-5.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, that would be that year.
So does he have more say than the head coach?
No, but I mean, I'm just saying there are connections. And listen, I know that Brian Callahan is just enamored with Brandon Allen. Whatever. It's a very questionable in my opinion, but I understand there's a level of comfort that he at least knows it. He may not be able to execute the playbook, but he at least knows it. But this would be, in my mind, an upgrade. And to your point, if they're going to cut him, the only reason you would trade for him is if you think someone else is going to trade for him. Mm-hmm. But if they cut him, you're number one on the waiver wire and you can just claim him.
Right. That's what I said. I think they got the best shot.
I think that's what I would do ultimately is just wait to see who gets cut and then claim them and use my waiver wire priority than trying to trade for a backup quarterback. I mean, I don't even think I would. Would you even trade for Jameis Winston if you were the Titans? Or would it?
I probably would.
Gotcha.
I would. Yeah, I've been clamoring. You saw the video of him.
Yeah, I did.
This is why you got to have a guy like that in the locker room. Every team's got a guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Titans do too. That's kind of humorous, funny at the same time. You know he is serious as a heart attack. You know about, hey man, Chapel at 3 during our snack time. He was serious about that. Now the guy we had when we played was he was only here 2 years, was Lorenzo Neal. That's how I know him so well. Like I know he would have not called me if he came. He's just that kind of guy. And Jameis is that guy. He's kind of one of those guys that, kind of brings everybody together. He doesn't have to be a starter or an integral part. He could be just a role player. Doesn't even have to be a quarterback, backup quarterback. So it's just certain guys just have that kind of way about them. That kind of relaxes everything in the locker room. And, man, you got a lot of respect for guys, especially of his ilk, who played in this league, been a starter, been a backup now, and then bounced around the team to team. So, obviously, a lot of organizations respect.
Could you imagine the social content the Titans social media team could get between Cam Ward and Jameis Winston's having conversations?
Oh,
because we saw how Shadur Sanders is a little bit different in personality, but kind of the same. They were like oil and water. And the back and forth. Oh, could you imagine? Oh,
that would just be fantastic for me.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, I just didn't know where the cutoff would be for a backup quarterback and trading for him, and I figured Jameis Winston would be a good one to ask.
I think he may become available just at some point. Okay, if the season's not going well, they're gotta pivot to. Why would they pivot to him? Why not go to Dart? So I'm, what uses you have? To be honest, I think they just oversigned quarterbacks. It's too many. You got Russell Wilson, then you got the young guy, then you got Winston. Then so where does he fit in this whole page?
Right.
And then they didn't sign him to a whole bunch. I think he only signed for like $4 million or $5 million. It wasn't a big number. Like Daniel Jones got way more, and he's a younger player.
His was a 2-year, $8 million contract,
which is $4 million. That's it. I mean, man,
and if they were to cut him, they save $2 million, or they actually lose money if they cut him because of the dead money and stuff. But I mean, you're talking about losing,
cut him or trade him.
Yeah, $1.2 million. Now, if you trade him, they gain money. So there you go. But it's kind of crazy to me. Like, as far as you knew you were probably going to be drafting a quarterback, right? Didn't you have to think you were drafting a quarterback? So why would you sign, unless you were kind of creating this competition between Jameis and Russell, and then whoever wins is the guy that you keep, because you don't know what either of these guys could be in training camp.
Maybe.
That'd be the only thing I could think of.
Gave Russ more money than that, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to say that's going to be the winner. Who's the fourth? It was a fourth guy, too, that I was like, oh, well, he's usually a 3. So
Tommy DeVito.
yeah, DeVito. So
Yeah.
he's still there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So 2-year, $8 million for Jameis Winston. And it was a 1-year, $10.5 million for Russell. So maybe it's for the backup of the future and Jameis. I don't know. The Giants just kind of went crazy, it feels like. Because remember, they were also in for Aaron Rodgers, too, at some point. Like, they were kind of bouncing that idea around.
And they was also in on Cam Ward.
Yeah. So, like,
They wanted to trade for him.
make up your mind, I guess. They were just having a quarterback identity crisis. When we come back, we'll talk about our quarterback, because I thought Greg Allman of Fox Sports, who has been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he said something in the last segment about Cam Ward that I want to touch on here in the next segment. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
Hey, it's Blaine Bishop. And listen, fellas, if your energy, confidence, and performance in the bedroom isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Masking the symptoms with pills isn't fixing the problem. Well, at Edge Peptide Therapy, they specialize in sexual health treatments that actually target the root cause of ED and performance issues, whether it's low testosterone, poor blood flow, or hormone imbalance. Man, that's enough. And even if you're not dealing with full-blown ED, their programs can take your performance, your stamina, and drive to the next level. Oh, yeah, I like that. It's not about patching it. It's about getting your edge back for good. So I've seen firsthand what it's done for men, and I know this stuff works. And all you have to do is just visit edgepeptide.com and get back to being your best. Tighten up.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. And yesterday we had Greg Allman join us in the very last segment. He's been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since 2013, and he's been covering the NFL for Fox Sports for a long time now. But we were asking him, as far as being impressed by Cam Ward, what has he seen and all that. He mentioned something yesterday, and it was about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been really focusing in their practices before training camp and at this joint practice itself, covering the middle of the field as a defense. And we have seen that the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward have been attacking the middle of the field to less than desirable results heading into this joint practice. A lot of time, a couple of the interceptions, right? 3 or 4 of the interceptions were over to the middle of the field, maybe even more than that, but 3, I think, were to Cody Barton, from Cam Ward. And I thought that was interesting because he walked away impressed with how Cam Ward was able to attack the middle of the field, impressed with his arm strength, making those seam throws in the middle of the field. And I just thought that was a little bit of an interesting takeaway because we didn't get to really talk about what Greg Allman said he saw and all that. But I thought that was an interesting takeaway because I don't know if that says more about Cam, says more about the Tampa Bay defense, but at least he showed some progress in that regard over the course of training camp. And we're talking about, just milestones, I guess. I don't think that's the right word I'm really looking for. But when we're talking about going from OTAs to minicamp to training camp to preseason games to regular season games, we've been talking about these jumps or these steps in the right direction. That seems, at least in that particular practice, a step in the right direction.
Well, I think that's just, I don't know if I want to put, saying that he's accomplished or made a step forward. They're not knowing what scheme and system they're playing, but I will give them credit for, the guys that are practicing on a daily basis are probably getting used to some of the things that they run and how he likes to throw and his look-offs and everything else. Now you're playing an honest defense who hadn't practiced against you every day. They haven't studied your film. Yeah. There is no film, really. So, for him to have success there, I can't say it's a milestone, but I think it's more so that he just took what they gave him and he made some completions. Did he throw an interception down the middle of the field too as well? Or a tip ball?
It was Hassan Reddick, and it wasn't a tip ball. That interception, in fact, Greg Allman said it yesterday. He said that Hassan Reddick just dropped back in coverage. Now, I don't know where.
I thought it was another play. It was a tip ball, and the other guy almost intercepted it.
Oh, I think there was, but I'm not sure where that was.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Reddick just jumped up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I just want to see him have some progress against other teams. So you get to see, as I said before, when you're practicing your team, you know their plays. Like when our guys used to motion, I was like, are you about to run this spot route right here? And I just jump it. You start understanding how their plan of attack is on a daily basis. It's pretty, if you're paying attention, you know pretty much what they're going to do most of the time. So just to see him going against other teams and having some success versus their talent, which I think they're a more talented team than us, at least at this point in time. So that was always good to see. So, yeah, hopefully we'll keep seeing it. But, I just don't know if that's he's, gotten over a hurdle.
I was trying to figure out the right word.
I know. It's hard to say what it is. I can't even put my finger on it because,
maybe a touch point is the right word. I don't even know if that's the right word.
All I can say is when he makes a mistake, I think he's a guy. He may test it one more time, but I think he learns from his mistake.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about these middle of the field throws, and in camp that was obviously a large focus of the offense, or at least that's where he wants to go with the ball in the play design. And we talked about the interceptions, and I forgot I had compiled a couple of bits of information about where he threw the ball in the field at college in Miami, and about 46.7% of his passes went to either the deep center, the intermediate center, or the short center. And so he's a big guy that wants to attack that center of the field between the hash marks. No matter what the level is, he wants to attack it. And, he had 7 interceptions last year. 4 of them were from that middle of the field because obviously that's where he, puts a lot of his passes, not to the left, not to the right, but to the middle. Mm-hmm. So I do think this seems to be, how sometimes, and I don't know if it's play design right, and he's taught to read from the inside out or whatever, but it seems to be he's a guy that really wants to go in the middle of the field. And it'll be interesting to see if the Titans choose to attack that way, because last year, you look at Mason Rudolph, 46.1% of his passes came between the hashes. Now, some of that is that he's trying to get the ball out too quick, and he's going to a spot that may not been the right spot, or he's just trying to get rid of the ball. Whereas Will Levis, he only attacked that middle of the field 29.6% of the time. And again, maybe it's because he held the ball too long and was looking for the deep passes. We don't know. But I just thought that juxtaposition of those 3 quarterbacks and what they've asked him to do in camp so far, is that a comfort level thing they're leaning into with Cam Ward, or is that just, hey, that's just how the offense is going to run regardless?
I'm not sure. To be, if I was making a guess, I would say that's the offense.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, I'm not watching film as though I'm playing against the Titans.
Yeah.
So what I can say is through experience, watching other players, and let's just use Marcus Mariota. Remember that first game at Tampa Bay where he was incredible, threw mostly inside the hashes. Yep. And so it became a predicament, and I started saying this now, that he never actually threw outside the numbers. But like 1 or 2 times a game. And so I'm more concerned, okay, if he threw 47% down the hashes or within the hashes in college, what were the rates for outside or other areas? Because there's only deep and outside.
Yeah.
And remember, I've said already that he hadn't thrown to the outside receivers a lot. And I said, I don't know if that's because if they're open or not.
Because the highlights today, right, that they showed, obviously Calvin Ridley always gets his highlights in, but and highlights from training camp just sounds funny, but they show Gunnar Helm in the middle of the field, right? That seems to be a comfort level, and that's not to say that he can't throw on the outside or anything, but it seems to be that I wonder if it's a byproduct of what he was talking about yesterday with the explosive plays. And they asked him if he was irritated or annoyed that there's not a lot of explosive plays so far. And he's like, well, those will come. And I wonder if that's a byproduct of him just being a patient quarterback and realizing that the explosives will come, the outside routes will come. I don't know. But it will be I'm with you. It's going to be interesting to see how this works, because it works for Jared Goff and Brock Purdy and Joe Burrow. Those are guys that are known for going the middle of the field, but will it work for Cam Ward and this particular set of playmakers? Because you're talking about with Jared Goff, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got a bevy of playmakers for that middle of the field.
From Alabama.
Jameson Williams. You got a bevy of playmakers. We know that with Brock Purdy, George Kittle, CMC, you have Juwan Jennings that will attack that middle of the field. Brandon Ayuk will go over across the middle of the field. And then he also had Deebo Samuel. Those guys all do those crossers over the middle of the field at a high rate.
Mm-hmm. It could be also the product of how people are defending the pass game.
That is too.
The pass game now, they want to try to keep you in front, play a lot of zone. And so naturally the zone areas where linebackers are dropping are probably a little more open, and you can see it clearer for the quarterback. So just each game is a little bit different. So you lean in. I don't want to see a stat like that, to be honest. If I'm a player, if I'm preparing for them, if I see 47%, I'm getting one of them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get one.
Well, Cody Barton's gotten his fair share, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm so yeah, and that's hard to see sometimes through a week of preparation.
Yeah.
But those elite players that have been in the league a long time, and that's what I mean by elite, they know what to lean into and they know what to look for.
And listen, college is also, not every college stat is a trend that's going to carry over to the NFL for a team. Because if you really look at where these NFL quarterbacks like Stafford, Mahomes, even Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, they're all around 35 to 37%. And he'll see a dip, I'm sure, just because there's a natural dip as far as Cam Ward, as far as usage or throws over the middle of the field. But a lot of these guys are under 40%. Your guys over 40% were Mason Rudolph, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff. So, I mean, those were the only guys that were over 40%. Everybody was 39% or less. So, I don't know what that says again, but it is something to monitor. To your point, will he maybe test the boundaries a little bit more? And maybe he does because he has Calvin Ridley on the outside instead of, no offense to like Jacoby George and Sam Brown, but right. Calvin Ridley is a different breed of wide receiver.
Right. I think the true test, he's trying to program himself to be patient because I don't think that's actually what his DNA says. He wants to, at some point, get after it. He wants to go downtown. So he's trying to train himself to be patient. So the true test is going to come when he's patient for 2 or 3 games and they lose.
Yeah.
And then he's going to start saying, I got to make a play.
Yeah.
And then that will be his true test with himself.
Right.
To see if he could stay patient.
Yeah.
I think that's where Levis definitely lost. He felt like, I'm going to throw it out here and hopefully we'll make a play. And whether it's on target or not, I'm going to swing it. And sometimes you get fortunate enough to complete some of them, but he was on the other side of that.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about something that we've kind of talked about off air, and I touched a little bit on Football and Other F words. This missed sack stats. We're going to talk about these quote unquote missed sacks from the Tennessee Titans defense in 2024. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Stinky, stinky, stinky. Is that what it was like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Smelly, greasy, old rags laying around? A countertop that you couldn't not dare touch? Another thing that stinks is the repair shops that keep your car forever, and they're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. Was that your last experience at a vehicle repair shop? Hey, it's Blaine Bishop to tell you about Eurofix, and they take the stink out of European auto repair. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-rinse inspection with an estimate at every visit and not high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty on work we perform, and a rental car is available with every repair appointment. And you never pay dealer pricing. Family-owned for over a quarter century. And Eurofix is located, you know where, all over the state of Tennessee in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. All the time, Blaine,
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. A lot of talk this week among the media members at practice. Well, I guess it would have been last week now at practice about pass rush. And they've been asked a few times about pass rush over the entirety of this offseason. And about a month or 2 months ago, they talked to Denard Wilson, Brian Callahan. I believe that they didn't reference the number, but also Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker talked about these missed sacks. And Brian Callahan mentioned a number of 20 missed sacks. And that's how he communicates it out to the press conference. And I don't think he did that to try to deceive or pull the wool over anybody's eyes. Their stat says they've missed 20 sacks. What that tells people in general is that, okay, well, the Tennessee Titans, instead of having 32 sacks, sounds like they should have been closer to 52 sacks because they have 20 missed sacks. And it got me thinking, I was like, man, I really don't remember this team missing 20 sacks. In my mind, when I hear that, I hear that means that 20 plays should have ended on a sack. Now, that's not necessarily what he meant, but that's how it came across to all of us. So we've been talking about it, and we've been talking about, I guess I'll start here. Before we get into the missed sack stat, I want to ask you this. When they say pass rushing together as a unit, when you hear that as a defender, is that from basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my thought is coverage needs to hold up. Your linebackers need to maintain their gap integrity or their assignment, and then someone may eat a double team. That means someone else needs to go there. Like, is it really going to be from coverage to defensive line, everybody rushing as a unit? Is that what that means?
What's the statement?
They say that we're going to pass rush together.
And that has nothing to do with this DBs.
Gotcha.
What they're talking about is we got to be succinct. Like, we got to rush, and if we do the ET stunts, we got to hit it at the perfect time so the other guy can come around and then make a play or get an advantage on. I think it's more about timing and get off than anything else. Just with the pass rushers. That's what they're referencing there. If I was going to take a guess on that, they're not talking about the defense working as one and then maybe helping get the sack. Eventually that comes, but we got to get the rush at the right spots at the right time, and then those things all match up on its own.
Okay, that's what.
But I see what I can see how somebody get that.
Well, I didn't know if maybe they were basically saying that, like, oh, if our coverage holds up, then these guys will be able to get there and all this kind of stuff.
I think they would have said that.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, at least that's how I would have verbalized.
Well, no, that's good. That's what he knows. So this missed sack stat. So going back to it, because this is going to be a unit that is heavily leaned on that needs to be better than these guys that were last year. I mean, again, we're talking about 32 sacks last year, which was near the bottom of the NFL.
But watch this. I know you know this off the top of your head. I do not. What is the total of the guys that start right now of their sacks based off of last year? We know Femi 0.
Yeah.
We can even add his sacks in there from college.
Okay, so last
Key had 5 or 6.
He was easily the best pass rusher, by the way, for the Tennessee Titans. No,
Simmons
had 5. Let me see if I can find because I had it at some point.
So was it like 20 sacks?
It was like 20-something sacks. And so they're going to have to be really relying on people that they've never – and even Jihad Ward, it was 20-something sacks with like Lorenzo Carter. Well, you add in Jihad Ward, well, now you're still at 20-something sacks.
More, right.
Yeah, because he only had one more sack last year. But I look at these missed sacks. So I watched over the weekend – I watched 170 plays were next-gen stats on pro.nfl.com where they said that there was some kind of pressure, even ones that ended with a penalty where the pressure doesn't count. I watched all those. And I came to 18 missed sacks. Now, you may think that sounds great, But here's the thing. I'm talking that like a missed sack in this way, those 18 falls like this. Keandre Coburn missed a sack, but here comes Sebastian Joseph Day, and he got a sack. When you're talking about sacks that actually ended a play for the Tennessee Titans, because they're dealing in hardcore, like, this is what happened on the field. Now, they're not dealing in hypotheticals. But when you talk about actual plays where a missed sack could have ended the play for the better, 6 plays. So we're really only talking about 6 sacks that would have been added to that 32. Because you ended up some plays where, okay, like look at this play. In week 4 versus the Dolphins, Arden Key, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Kenneth Murray all missed sacks on one play. That's included in the 18, but that only counts as 1 for the missed play or for an ending play, because that ended up being an incomplete pass. But you would want the sack over the incomplete pass, obviously. So
how does that only count for one missed sack?
Well, I'm saying one missed play or one play ended because of a missed sack. There's two different school of thoughts. What he is communicating to us is that, hey, Key, can't believe you missed it. Sebastian Joseph Day, can't believe you missed it. And Kenneth Murray, can't believe you missed it. Those are teachable moments, and all missed sacks, those are teachable moments. But you only needed one of those sacks to end the play. You get what I'm saying?
No, I get it, but that's still 3 missed sacks.
Well, yeah. So there's a difference. So bear with me here. There's missed sacks and plays that were missed because it didn't end in a sack. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I got you.
So I'm talking individual plays. So if Key would have
the play kept going.
Yeah, the play kept going. So if Key would have got his sack,
the other 2 would have missed a sack.
They wouldn't even got a sack stat, right?
But see, here's where the literal part comes in now.
Yeah.
That you're speaking like, we're at a corporate CEO job compared to athletics. Athletics is totally different. They're going to count that as a missed sack.
Yes. I'm not faulting them for that. But what I'm trying to say is that when people hear that there were 20 missed sacks, there's not 20 sacks that are getting added to that 32 total.
I get you. Yeah. You said it's a little misleading.
Yeah, but I don't think it's purposely misleading. I don't think he purposely did. Right. But I don't want people to think that like, oh, well, that's just some bad sack luck. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, this team will be even better.
Hey, it was bad sack luck.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
But here's the thing. This is what I really saw over the course of this whole thing, is that this team did not have the horses to take advantage of Jeffrey Simmons or Tavondre Sweat opening up holes for them. They were either half a second to a second late getting to the quarterback before he already threw the ball. Like, they had open lanes, wide open lanes numerous times, and nobody had the speed to take advantage of it to get there. No one had the mental processing to take advantage, the reaction time. And to me...
Give me an example on that.
Okay, so
you said lanes.
So like
when you're the pass rusher on the outside, there is no lane. You rush it outside.
Well, there's massive holes where the line... Like, Kenneth Murray was blitzed a lot. Okay, so there were times where Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons kind of opened up a little hole for him, a gap, for him to shoot through a sizable gap.
Right, but was he supposed to blitz?
Well, I mean, that's what the play design looks like.
Oh.
And, I mean, and he's just too slow to get to the quarterback, or the quarterback's too fast getting the ball out.
I'm going to say this. I think perception is not all reality. And here's why I say that. There's times, let's say, the linebacker has the running back in pass coverage.
Yeah.
And then at some point in time, you realize he is not going out. Now, you can drop to help, with passes coming inside, or you can go attack him and blitz late, knowing that you're not going to get there. So I think that's maybe when you say he hesitated and didn't go. When you're blitzing, there is no hesitation. So every time there was a hesitation, I think then there was probably, should I drop back and help my teammates, or should I just go rush?
Yeah.
So
I definitely understand that.
And that's what I'm talking about. Because I'm not saying it was every time.
Not every time.
But when you say it like that, I think that because when you say open, Murray is a get up and go guy. If not, there is no hesitation. There is no in between with him. If you're in between, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that could happen. And that happens a lot because sometimes guys, they don't tell you that. They call it add to the blitz. So now you're sitting there thinking he's going to go out and you're waiting, and then now it's too late to add, and then you're caught in between. Here's how you dictate to the offense. You act as though you're going to add, and then he's going to tell you what he's going to do, and then you go. So that's where the part to me where Murray kind of didn't play the game, cat and mouse. Yeah. He just kind of did what he was told.
Yeah. And it goes
that's
back to
player
the point.
Being a player in the game.
And it goes to the point of transferring now this kind of stuff that they're talking about, taking advantage and all this stuff. I still don't think they have the horses to take advantage of some of these double teams and all this kind of stuff. And it makes me wonder, like, you look at these 32 sacks, I don't know if the Tennessee Titans will beat 32 sacks this year. And listen, not every pressure needs to turn into a sack, right? Because some of these pressures that they did get in some of these plays resulted in intentional grounding, resulted in an interception, resulted in someone, stepping outside of the pocket and having an incomplete pass. So not everything needs to be a sack, but I'm just so curious as to how this pass rush is eventually going to end up when it comes down to ending plays, ending drives.
I'm going to ask you this question. Why do you think it's going to be better than last year?
I do not. So, I personally don't.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I would be shocked if it was better than last year. Maybe better for pressures, but when it comes to sacks and ending a play and ending a drive, I don't think it's going to be better.
Only way I think it would be better if Jeff, because of the lost weight and his quick get off now, and maybe even plays outside sometimes, impacts maybe a couple more sacks than normal. Other than that, it's going to be hard. He's going to have to create pressure. And then that's going to make the secondary vulnerable because they're going to be a man-to-man. And every team has a really good receiver pretty much these days. And so that hence means Snead is valuable. That's why I keep going back to the Snead, because you don't have the horses up top, and now you're basically letting your strength of your team be the secondary, lead the way, hold on for that extra second, and then you can get there and get sacks. Nobody's coming into playing the Titans and with their front four saying, hey, man, besides Big Jeff, and who's a D tackle, they're not scared of the pass rush. Not like that.
Right. And, I see Scoop Richardson brings it up, and we haven't really talked about it. Jeremy Fowler, of course, reported about Preston Smith that he name-dropped someone. And if you name-drop someone, you probably heard that from someone inside the building when you're at Titans training camp. So I looked at Preston Smith. And Preston Smith's not going to solve your problems.
So you're going to depress me more?
Yeah, I don't want to depress you more. Don't get me wrong. He still is,
he got 5 sacks last year?
He had 4 to 5.5 sacks.
Okay.
And, last year, his stats last year, he would have had the second highest among all these guys in sack rate. Actually, he would have had the highest because that's included Femi Oladejo in college, so we can't include that. But, he would have had the highest, but that's still 1.9% sacks rate. You look at Jihad Ward, he was a 1.8%. So it's not good. Preston Smith may do a little bit for you, but again, we're talking about a guy that's more Draymond Jones, Lorenzo Carter, and none of these guys. You're not going to find a game changer at this point without a trade. But at this point in time, I like the idea of Preston Smith, but I'm not going to get overly excited and over my skis over Preston Smith. It's just more of the same of what they already got. An older guy who's going to be more built for the run game than he is for getting after the passer.
That same chill bump I had yesterday for Cam Ward for the
Is it the reverse?
It is.
Your chill bumps are going back in your body.
It's like, oh man, I hope we start off good, man. I hope their defense is gonna be, they started off good, man. They're their first 3 games, and then it just kind of starts settling down, and we just need one. Just one. This one player that's like, hey, man, this guy is a legit pass rusher. I don't even care if he plays regular downs.
Yeah.
I want somebody who's a threat to get around that corner.
And listen, it's just a preseason game, but it was funny to see Brett Coleman, who covers the NFL. I don't know if you recognize that name, but he's been covering the NFL for a while. And
What did he say?
last night, Shamar Stewart played. Last night, Mike Green played. And Mike Green won 50% of his he had a
That
pass
guy from
rush.
Marshall?
Yeah. Pass rush win rate for the Ravens, 50%, which is super high. He only had 14 pass rushing snaps, so that means he won on 7 of them. Over at Shamar Stewart, he had 10. He won on 10%. So that's 1.
Oh, no. I watched him. I wanted to say, I'm glad you said he had no sacks, and I said, hey, man, I saw a dude that could play.
Yeah.
And he, for the Bengals, did you see him?
I did not. I watched the Colts game last night.
Right. Well, he was 97. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was running around being very. I was like, this is exactly the guy I saw in the day. I was like, man, this guy's got a motor like I've never seen before. I was like, this is, and then he's probably not even tip-top shape yet
Right.
for camp because he really just got there a couple, weeks ago or so.
But it was just funny that they put that out because I'm going to be interested to see Femi Oladejo and what he's going to show us. I know, again, it's just preseason, but we need to see what they see sometimes. And you're not going to be able, maybe they're not going to go all crazy and blitz and do this and that and throw all these exotic schemes out there on a preseason game. But you at least, when he's rushing the passer or rushing the tackle or the offensive guard that he may be at, wherever he may be asked to rush from, see him get some wins. And if he is stonewalled, that's not a good sign. That at least shows you, well, we got to get better. There's a long road to go.
What I'm understanding is by Todd Bowles is that they're playing their twos. They're not playing their
So
starters.
he better get some wins, in my opinion, right?
Uh-oh. I don't know. Hey, man, Dre Jones may do good.
Yeah.
He's got a motor, something like what Shamar has.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, this pass
hopeful.
rush, I'm just, it's going to be a real sticking point for me this year, this pass rush, because they got to get creative with it because I don't think there's any other way for them to generate pass rush without being creative.
Yeah. I'm just hoping Big Jeff, and that's why they make sure that Sweat is ready. They got to have, Jeff may have to play his best season yet in his career.
He's aiming for it.
He looks like it because he looks like a different player. When I'm talking about speed and quickness, we all know he can power anybody in this league, but now that's a whole nother weapon there, man. So I'm interested to see what he looks like and if he can stay healthy throughout the whole time. And I say that when I mean nothing to his limbs is kind of slowing him down, whether it's elbow or knee or something. Everybody's nicked up after the first game, but yeah. Hey, he's going to have to play exceptional. He's going to have to perform like an Aaron Donald way. And if he's driven by getting sacks and by getting him an extension or a bigger contract, hey, man, so be it.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about how much the starters are going to play because we got a little tidbit today about, the maximum amount of time they'll play. We'll talk about that in relation to what the Bengals did last night. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers social media team put out the Hassan Reddick interception, Blaine.
Did they?
I showed it to you just a few minutes ago. And we talked about it. And we said, we wonder if he dropped back in coverage and it just kind of fooled him. And it is a play, which you can go see for yourself on their official Twitter account. It is a play that is very reminiscent of Will Levis versus the Dolphins, where he threw that interception clear as day to that guy. And I railed Will Levis for it.
You did?
I did. And
I said that he couldn't see him because of the line, even though all of us sitting there watching TV could see him. But people don't understand the vision of the quarterback or what they can and can't see. Then he think he can squeeze it in there too. You know, some play you think he squeeze it in there.
And it was low into the ground. Like Hassan Reddick had to pick it up by his fingertips down at his feet.
It would have been bad ball. I think it was Alec Manor.
No, it was Chig.
It was Chig. Yeah, that's right.
And he had Chig in a blender in coverage. I mean, he was right on the hip of Chig, and he got that pick pretty clean. I don't know what Cam Ward saw or what he was thinking that Chig was supposed to do, but he did not put it in any way, shape, or form to what I thought would be a catchable ball regardless if Hassan Reddick wasn't there or not.
I felt like it was the same route because it was a wide receiver.
The same exact play.
Because the wide receiver ran a curl, right, or a 5-yard hitch. And that was somewhat similar. Chig just did a little weave with it, but it didn't affect Hassan Reddick.
No.
At all. He weaved right with him and dropped back. Now, the fool part of it is you thought he was going to jam him and then rush.
Yeah.
He did not. He jammed him and then kind of just weaved and zone dropped, but had a good feel for where he was and was watching him and turned his back and then turned around and he threw it right to him. I was like,
So maybe it was an instance of him looking elsewhere and thinking that Chig was going to be open based on the alignment or something. I don't know, but woof. It was, so it got sent to me and I got, yikes, this is awful in a group chat.
Yeah.
OF, LOL.
Yeah.
That's not what I pictured at all when I read about the play, is what someone else said. I said, well, that's kind of what we pictured about it.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that.
Yeah.
Because to me, with the passing game, the way it is for these college players and all the passing they do on 7-on-7, a lot of these quarterbacks, throw the ball a lot, so they've seen a lot. So to me, blitzing them is the easy thing for them because now they just know they got to pick a guy and they're just going to throw it to him.
Yeah.
Well, the best way to approach them, not all the time, naturally you got to mix it up, is to elude and persuade and deceive with all the things that you do and give them different looks, and then they just throw you one. And from a fan's perspective, we're going, well, he was standing right there.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't expecting that guy to drop.
Right.
That guy normally doesn't drop. He is a pass rusher.
Yep.
So Hassan Reddick is get paid for get sacks now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Reddick is saying, hey, man, I don't like doing the dropping too much, man, but I get paid for them sacks. So.
He's probably thinking this will be the last and only time you see me.
See, that's what I'm saying. The dudes in the locker room like, hey, man, great play. But he's like, hey, man, I don't want to be doing that too much, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of playing, obviously Tennessee Titans play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was reported by PK that you should expect a maximum of 2 series from the starting offensive skill players and everything. Last night,
starters.
the starters. Last night, I was like, okay, well, I know that Joe Burrow had 2 touchdowns. So how did his drives look and how did all that? So he played the entire first quarter. And now I say the entire first quarter because he played the only 2 drives the Bengals had in the first quarter. And it was a 10-play, 71-yard drive that lasted 5 minutes and 4 seconds that ended in a touchdown. And then it was a 5-play, 65-yard drive that ended in 2 minutes and 32 seconds that also ended in a touchdown, which we talked about yesterday that maybe we should be looking at drives and the quality of those drives. Let me ask you this first. If it was a 10-play, 71-yard drive that lasted about 5 minutes for the Titans offense in the opening drive, whatever that may look like, but their opening drive, is that comfortable enough for you to say, we don't need to do a maximum, or there's a maximum of 2, or are you still like, let's put them out there for one more?
I'm kind of more on the other side of that, just because just the mindset. But I would be fine with one series if you had success like that. You said 10 plays, 7. Yeah, I would be cool with that. Yeah, I think I would. It just is a part of me. I just want to get 2 series. Watch this. There's a part of me, I want him to go 3 and out and then come back and then drive them down and get a field goal or something,
Yeah.
I just want to
see that adversity.
I just want to see a touch of it, just see how he responds, his body language, how his teammates respond to him. What does the team actually do? I mean, so I know that's bad to say, but that's kind of what I want to see. And I don't know if we're really going to see that because they're playing their 2s, right? I think Todd Bowles said that.
Yeah,
right,
their
Jeff?
starters won't play.
Yeah, so that's so to me you'll be judged on if you don't move the ball on them. I mean, we're supposed to be having somewhat success against them. Not to say all the guys are bad, but there's a reason why you're 2 and the 1s, and you should be having some form of success out there on the football field, even on the first drive. So
does them playing the 2s factor in if you were a coach? Does that factor into how much you would play? Because, I mean, obviously, if he's going up against the 2s, does that mean you really need him to see for another drive or 2 or 3 drives, maybe 1 drive because it's just against the 2s? Or is it really, for you as a coach, just going to be about the performance in each drive?
Yeah, I think you got to focus on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think most coaches are going to think that way. So, hindsight, you're going to go back and look and say, man, this is against, mostly their backup guys. Most of these guys don't even part-time play,
Yeah.
So, so I would want to see some form of success there.
Right. I mean, because at the end of the day, any kind of success you can build upon, whether it's against the 2s or the 3s, that's still something you put on tape.
Oh, yeah.
That you guys can talk about breakdowns and maybe even say, hey, what you just did, this play worked against this guy. But if that guy, like Jamel Dean, had been in there, that's probably not working. So we need to, kind of use it that way. That's kind of how you may want to approach it as well. Yeah. But any kind of success that Cam Ward can continue to build off of, it to me, again, it's kind of like you give him a little bit of rope, he's going to take it all the way. Like any kind of success that Cam Ward can have is a good thing, even if it's against the 2s.
Yeah, and you just wonder, like, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to be vanilla in they're just going to play cover 2 most of the time and just trying to see what guys can actually do, who can actually really play.
Right.
I mean, because some coaches approach it like that and, just go into it like, hey, man, we're playing our backup, so we want to see who actually are players. So we don't want them slowing down. We don't want them confused, even though if it puts them in a bind, we're going to just play zone or maybe play man here or there, but in zone drops it. But everything that they know and are comfortable with. So I'd be looking for that, too, as far as what they do versus Cam, too.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, then, you still want to see him have success.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't be expecting to write grand sweeping generalizations about about this Tennessee Titans team more than likely because, I mean, again, they're going against the 2, so Cam Ward should look good. And if he looks bad, I don't know if that says something to you. Does it to you?
And just say this. I don't want to be going into no meeting saying, hey, man, we played the 2s and maybe we didn't look good. I don't know about that, man. I don't know, man. I definitely don't want that to happen. I think people will be really upset. Their cheeks will start to get tight.
Yeah. You don't want to have a cheeks performance and then have tight cheeks in the fan base, that's for sure.
Yeah. And even in those meeting rooms. Well, that will do it for us. You'll actually be able to hear both of us tomorrow at 3 p.m. as I'm filling in, doing the pregame show presented by Lee Company with Blaine, and then we'll have Buck call in from Tampa as well. So we'll be doing a little cover 2 with Buck tomorrow, 3 p.m. Cover 3.
There you go, cover 3. And then, of course, post-game Titans Talk Back, I'll be there with that with Stoney and Dr. Dyson as well. 3HL's up next. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime...
And in between time.
Peace.